got love for you, man. You know what I'm saying?
What are we talking about? You know, I'm not here to start any trouble.
I'm only going to say nice things about you from now on. I think you're handsome, and I think you're a wonderful host.
I'm fat and I'm overweight.
Just don't say anything silly.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I'm not laughing about it. You think this is funny? I take it serious.
You know, I don't want y'all to take anything out of context that I'm saying.
He's very funny. He likes to joke around a lot.
As a personality and as an entertainer, yes.
This is going to be really quick. I'm not taking any questions.
Go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to talk for a little bit.
You're listening to Cabbie Presents, the podcast.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Cabbie Richards. Welcome back to the Cabbie Presents podcast. I recently discovered there are some women that listen to this podcast. They listen to My Guy Mondays. So thank you. There are two young ladies. So thank you, ladies. Glad you're sticking with me. And for the dudes, my dudes, I appreciate all the clicks and the downloads and the subscriptions and the fact that you devote about an hour of your day to my stupid voice and these fun conversations. I was going to say dumb. Sometimes they're dumb, but generally they're fun. This one is not dumb. This one is very fun. Since there are 6 weeks or so left in 2013, it's this time of year where Hollywood and various studios release all their Oscar-worthy films. So I went to the bullpen, and I'm getting Brian Wilson, the dude with the giant beard, who had unbelievable success in the major leagues. Okay, now I'm not getting that guy. It's a metaphor for my guy, who is a film encyclopedia, making his return to the Cabbie Presents podcast for the fall movie review. He joins me in studio right now.
If it's going to be an interview, I'm going to conduct it. So I'll answer my own questions, ask myself the questions, then give y'all the answers.
Joining me, my own personal IMDb. He's the guy that the IMDb app was based on. He is a consultant. He is a film connoisseur, a purveyor of all the finer things that are recorded on celluloid or in a digital space or on film. On his laptop, on his 80-inch television screen in his place. My dude, Ari Pollack, is in for the fall/Christmas/Oscar movie preview. Welcome back to Cabbie Presents.
Thank you for having me, man.
I remember we had a lengthy conversation about your summer movies, the movies you were looking forward to. Most of them were comic book movies, or like tentpole movies, because you do enjoy the comic book genre of films, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. I think I give you a ton of fantasy genre comic book movies in that breakdown.
Yeah, but okay, what I do, I re-listened to the conversation, and it's number 51 on the Cabbie Presents podcast. If you guys want to check it out on iTunes, you can hear it. Number 9 was The Conjuring, which to me was the best movie of the summer.
Scary.
Great recommendation.
Thank you.
And and then so in the combo, you also said some of the movies you're not going to waste your $13 on. Among them was The Heat, which I really enjoyed. Which my $13, I felt I enjoyed. That I got my money's worth.
I think it also did well in the box office. It made good bank, and they might do a sequel. I would imagine if it's just based on how much money they made.
The Heat smashed because in the summer, there were no movies that appealed to the female demographic. With all these huge action, fantasy, sci-fi movies, and when dudes were, dragging their girlfriends to, ladies needed some entertainment too. So that movie made well over $100 million. Melissa McCarthy is a legit star. Sandra Bullock proves that she's bankable again, and with Gravity, even more bankable.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So today in this podcast, Ari's gonna preview his top 10 movies that are Oscar worthy. So let's begin. Without further ado, what Shakespeare play is that from? Is that from a Shakespeare play?
Without further ado, well, there's a play called Much Ado About Nothing.
Right, which I never read. Did you read that one?
No.
That's I know Denzel
That wasn't
was in that
assigned
movie.
in high school. That was Denzel did do a modern day take on that one.
Yeah, with who's like Mr. Shakespeare with Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh, yeah.
Is Kenneth Branagh putting any movies out this?
He is. He's directing the Jack Ryan movie and starring as the villain.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like the Russian bad guy. It's
But
Jack-
that doesn't come out this year.
No, yeah, it comes out this December.
What?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna, in the interest of brevity, I was gonna drop 5 blockbusters because I think those are gonna be big money makers for the fall and the winter, and then go into my picks for, more artistic films that will be coming out at the end of the year.
Let's do it.
All right.
Blockbusters up.
All right, so The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
What?
That's just, my guilty
Desolation
pleasure.
of what does that even mean?
It's actually taken from The Hobbit. If you look inside the jacket, there's like a map of Middle Earth, and there's a portion that says The Desolation of Smaug, and that's where they stole the title from.
So wait, is that where they're gonna go? Are they gonna go into this area where there's just smog? It's just gonna be like a cloudy movie.
No, not smog, like the weather condition. That's the name of the dragon that's guarding this fortune of gold.
So,
SMAUG.
oh, okay. Is that what Vin Diesel's gonna play in one of the X-Men movies? Isn't he like a dragon or a tree?
They haven't confirmed yet, but the prevailing rumor is that he's going to play Thanos.
Thanos.
Yeah.
Who's a tree?
No, that's... Oh, you know what? Sorry. That character's name is Groot. So
Groot.
he could be that character because he has one line throughout the whole thing.
And what is the line?
It's like, I am Groot.
I am Groot?
That's what he just says all the time.
Do you know
it's
that
like Hodor from Game of Thrones. Shout out to Game of Thrones.
Who's Hodor in Game of Thrones?
He's the big giant guy who carries around Bran. Who has...
yeah, you're right. I remember the short story. I'll get back to the book I Am Legend. I think it's written by Robert Matheson. I can't remember the author's name, but at the end of the book, he says, I am legend. Those are the last 3 words of the book. And
I haven't read it.
It's a great short story. Please continue.
Okay, so The Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, okay, so Scorsese and DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's. I think that will have a lot of artistic merit, but I think that's a little too obvious, and you wanted me to get some nuggets. So that one's gonna get a lot of publicity. I thought it was coming out this Friday. That's what it was originally slated, and then it got pushed back to Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Well, that might be our Christmas
our
Day
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
We have this tradition, which is almost, I think it's close to 20 years. Every Christmas Day, we see a movie, with the exception of one year we went to see Ali, and it was sold out. So actually, I don't know if we saw a movie period, or we just didn't see that particular one. But I remember there was one thing that was messed up. Side note: Leo DiCaprio just celebrated, his 39th birthday with Kanye West and 2 Chainz.
Yep.
You see that on Instagram?
I saw the headlines, but I didn't actually see any of the footage from it.
So he just in a sea of it looks like 16-year-old girls. And at one point, and this girl was probably not 16, but he's like making out with kissing this one girl, giving her the night of his life, DiCaprio, and he's wearing this old school one of those caps that like a Kangol type of cap, but he's wearing it front ways, like a kid that used to sell newspapers in 1912.
Have you put him on your Kings of Earth list?
DiCaprio's one of the Kings.
He's
of
one
Earth.
of the Kings of Earth? Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Please continue.
Okay, this is a guilty pleasure for me, but I think a lot of people might like it. The 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves, and
that is 100% your guilty pleasure. There are dudes, nobody's checking for Keanu Reeves anymore as an actor, Ari. Who's checking for Keanu Reeves? Did he direct this one?
No.
What's the one that he directed?
Man of Tai Chi.
Okay, so this is another martial arts movie? Or Ronins are samurais, right? So just swordplay.
Yeah.
So they're not really kicking dudes in the face and jumping off buildings.
They might.
What would, I mean...
It's not martial arts. It's more samurai swords and that kind of stuff. It's not going to be lots of hand-to-hand fighting. You're right. It'll be more swords.
So that is 100% your guilty pleasure, the 47 Ronin, Keanu Reeves.
Yes. And then Jack Ryan, the one that we mentioned just a few minutes ago, that's they're rebooting that franchise. So it had Alec Baldwin as one of the guys who played Jack Ryan. Then Harrison Ford had a really good run with that one. And then Ben Affleck had a kind of so-so take. And now it's... the guy
who's Jack Ryan?
The dude who plays Captain Kirk on Star Trek.
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, so as I said, Kenneth Branagh plays the main bad guy and is directing it, and Keira Knightley plays the love interest.
So we have The Smog, what's the Hobbit?
Yep.
Wolf of Wall Street, 47 Ronin, Jack Ryan, and
Old Boy.
Old Boy, yes.
I guess the remake, Spike Lee's remake of the Korean film, which was based on a Japanese comic book.
That's a comic book movie?
Yeah.
Old Boy?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I heard Spike in an interview on the Comeback Jack show say that it was more of a reimagining of Old Boy as opposed to a remake, which I think I think it's just semantics at this point. They just want to make an American version. Remember when Will Smith was attached?
Yeah.
That would be good. If you guys haven't seen Old Boy, it's one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen, and one of the dopest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think I might have to rewatch it before this one comes out.
Why?
You're
gonna know what's gonna happen. Why would you you should just let that one just sit in the recesses of your memory, and then you might have new experiences watching this American version of this unbelievable Korean film.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure it's going to be a completely different take on that story, but I haven't seen it in so long. I'm kind of having an urge to see it again. Not to just refresh myself, I just kind of want to see it again because it's been so long.
So those are your 5 blockbuster fall movies that people should go see because you believe that they will be excellent or be worth their $13.
Absolutely. Good popcorn movies. Just sit back, turn your brain off, and enjoy.
All right. So I asked you to dig in the crates for some nuggets, and I know you are, along with RT, you guys are, and our shout out to our dude, Adnan Verk, who's at ESPN.
Shout out to Verk.
You guys are huge movie guys, film geeks. So you went digging into the crates, and you pulled out 5 movies that audiences should see that are like Oscar-worthy, Oscar candidate-worthy films?
Yes. A couple I've already seen, and the majority have yet to come out.
What do we got?
All right. So in no particular order, start with American Hustle, which is David O. Russell's next film.
Who's in it?
Christian Bale, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, your boy, and what's his name? Jeremy Renner. Amy Adams.
It's like an 80s. What is it? What's this one again?
I think it takes place in the 70s, and it's just about a con man. And then I think Cooper plays an FBI agent who's trying to break into his circle somehow, but then gets caught up in the whole con game that he's running.
It kind of feels like Blow meets American Gangster meets Al Pacino. What was Al Pacino? Carlito's Way.
Oh yeah,
that's what it feels like.
They all kind of seem to take place in that same era. Long hair and bell bottoms and
and a lot of
excess.
A lot of Tony Yayo and stacks and stacks and stacks of $100 bills.
Yes.
American Hustle. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that cast, and I loved Silver Linings Playbook. So I'm just more than anything, I'm curious to see what it is, because the first trailer they released didn't really tell you much of anything. The second trailer is a little bit more revealing, but I'm still intrigued because I don't really know what it's about.
I just want to see Christian Bale smack people in the face. He's just a super intense dude. What else we got?
Well, I got another Christian Bale movie.
Okay.
Okay, and this one is directed by a guy named Scott Cooper. He directed the film with Jeff Bridges called Crazy Heart.
And Jeff Bridges won an Oscar for that.
He won Best Actor for that performance. Yeah.
Okay,
so this movie is about a guy gets out of prison, and his brother is an Iraqi war veteran, and there's no work for him when he comes back from his tour. So he gets involved in some kind of crime syndicate, and then the wheels kind of fall off for him, and Christian Bale has to get his hands dirty to seek justice.
So so his brother gets into, the brother's the war vet.
Yeah.
And then Christian Bale has to go save his brother.
Yeah.
From what you gather from the previews or what you've read about this particular movie.
It looks really intense. Like Bale is, it doesn't look so much like his kind of really intense roles in terms of his ranting and raving. It looks like a kind of a moodier take on this character. Casey Affleck plays the brother, who's also gets into like bare knuckle boxing or that kind of underground fighting to make money.
Like cockfighting.
Yeah, kind of.
With humans.
Yeah. Zoe Saldana's in it, Sam Shepard's in it, and yeah.
What's that movie called again?
It's called Out of the Furnace.
Out of the Furnace with Christian Bale.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what else we got?
Okay, this one's a little bit more, I guess, low-key, but it's called Philomena. Dame Judi Dench plays an Irish woman who was forced to give up her child for adoption when she was much younger. And now she wants to seek this child out that she gave up for adoption. And the child was adopted by an American family. So she travels with Jimmy Coogan, who plays a BBC reporter, to find this child. And it's based on a true story, I believe. Oh, sorry, Steve Coogan. I'm messing up his name. It's Steve Coogan. It was actually on my short list for TIFF this past year.
Okay, for TIFF. TIFF is an abbreviation for the Toronto International Film Festival. It's brought up a few times on this podcast, and that's sort of the testing ground for many films that get, Oscar buzz, and it's the first time general audience sees them, and then they're, the buzz lasts all the way till, January or February when the nominations are announced. So we have American Hustle, Out of the Furnace, and Philomena. Well, that's a PH. What else do we got, Ari?
All right. Well, speaking of TIFF, this won the Toronto International Film Festival's Audience Award, which was 12 Years a Slave.
That's just a harsh one. Right?
I
haven't seen it yet, and it's like, no.
Oh, man, what are you waiting? I mean, I waited 2 weeks because I was afraid to watch it.
Like last year was Django Unchained.
Yeah.
This year, 12 Years a Slave. I don't want to I don't need to get gut punched again and again and again. This material is so harsh, and I'm sure on screen the physical punishment that these characters go through is just. I know I will feel severely uncomfortable. Was it uncomfortable to watch, or how uncomfortable was it to watch?
There were. It wasn't gratuitous use of that infamous word like in Tarantino's film. There were some very difficult scenes to watch in terms of the treatment of Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, and there's another character, I forget the character's name, but the actress's name is...
And this is the one with, it's Michael Fassbender and not Alexander McQueen. No, it is... Wait, Alexander McQueen, or is it Steve McQueen?
Steve McQueen. Alexander McQueen was the designer.
Who died.
And Steve McQueen is also an old school.
He is an iconic
icon who died.
Actor.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve McQueen, is the director.
Yes,
and
sir.
Michael Fassbender is one of the lead actors.
Yeah, he's more of a supporting lead, but he was incredible. He was. If you ever want to see him play bad, this is the one to watch. He's pretty awful in this.
And this is the one that Brad Pitt. Produced.
He produced and he played a small part in it, a small integral part in the film. But I think his Plan B produced it.
And this was it was that night that it screened at the Toronto International Film Festival. Our friend RT Randolph Thorne found himself at the after party at the Thompson Hotel with the cast. Giamatti was up there. Is Giamatti in the movie?
He's in it briefly as well, yeah.
Okay, Paul Giamatti was there. Chiwetel Ejiofor obviously was there. Yeah. Brad Pitt was there. And the whole party got shut down as soon as BP entered the premises. and RT has this story about how he was with a couple of girls and, he's trying to get the girls to go meet. He wanted to...
Security was tight on that one.
Yeah, he wanted to be okay, girls, I'll try to get you to meet Brad Pitt. And I think he succeeded, but it took some...
I think he had to sign his firstborn over to the security guard to get that.
Right, his firstborn's going to be in Plan B as a production assistant for the first 12 years of his life, like the movie. So 12 years. Why is this movie getting so much Oscar buzz?
It's not so much. How do I put this? It's a very interesting view of that time of history, and McQueen gives you a certain look. His interpretation is very unique in the way that he tells this man's story. This, I'm forgetting the character's name now.
Isn't it
Solomon Northup? Solomon Northup, yeah. Who kind of faded away after he became an abolitionist and he kind of faded out of history until someone rediscovered him and brought this story to, I guess, Plan B. But it was just the way he shot it, the way he interpreted this material was just really unique, and I found that most compelling. And
the actors?
Yeah, the actors are great. I always find it incredibly brave for any actor to take on a role like that, especially one where you have to be so evil in the sense that you're using all this derogatory language. I'm like, how do they get into that headspace where they're like.
And you're talking about Fassbender.
Fassbender and Giamatti, and Paul Dano plays this despicable little character in it as well. And you hate them when you're watching the movie, but then you realize like, wow, they did a great job of acting. It was just because they did such a good interpretation of how it was back then.
And they're I'm assuming they're very believable.
Yeah. Like there's one point where Paul Dano sings this song to the slaves that are gathered before they go to work. And to call it offensive would be an understatement. And the fact that he had to sing this song, I was shocked, but it was tremendously effective because it kind of laid the theme out there for what these people had to go through. And this was only, 150 years ago, I guess, 1850s. So not that long ago. I mean, sorry, it's a long time ago, but you think about it, some of this language is still pretty...
It's prevalent.
I mean, yeah, it's still...
There's a whole, to bring it into a sports context, I mean, the past 2 weeks, the headlines have been rife with Richie Incognito, the offensive lineman for the Miami Dolphins, who was bullying a teammate, Jonathan Martin, and the way that he was, when you're talking about this despicable language, Jonathan Martin recorded a voicemail on his phone left by his teammate, Richie Incognito, where Richie Incognito calls him a half N-word.
Yep.
And that language was rampant in the Miami Dolphins locker room, not just by Richie Incognito, obviously a lot of the African-American players as well, but you're just, language, that particular word is always... It's a lightning storm.
Oh.
People of a certain it is a powder keg. Yeah. People of a certain age will react to it differently than the new generation, which seems that the sting of the word doesn't seem to have the same effect. So that's 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
Number 4 of your Oscar-worthy films. What is number 5?
Number 5, Mandela: A Long Walk to Freedom.
Oh,
and I was surprised to see that the budget for this was under $30 million.
Because
it looks like such a big film when you see the trailer, but when you think of a big movie like that, you think, oh, it had to have a high budget, but it looks like they shot it for a pretty small amount. And Idris Elba is one of my favorite actors.
Idris Elba this summer was in Pacific Rim, one of the movies that you recommended to see, which was visually out of this world. And
he's also in a BBC show called Luther.
And he's famously in The Wire.
Yep, Stringer Bell.
And I just saw that he's doing a movie in Brazil, or maybe it takes place in Brazil, where it was described as his audition to play James Bond down the road. Like, so he's got to save this kid, and it's like this suspense thriller. And I didn't click through the article, but just the way that the headline read was like, yeah, it's just like his audition role to play James Bond. Because he's been rumored to succeed Daniel Craig as the next James Bond.
Well, I think to play James Bond, you have to have that cool factor, which most of them do, and he's a cool dude. Like, I remember he was in shooting Pacific Rim in Toronto, and I saw him once, and he just seemed to have this swagger. And
like you saw him in real life?
Yeah, I saw him. He's a tall dude, and he just kind of walking around like he had, something that nobody else had. He just had that look about him, like that movie star look, but he was really cool about it. I
read that GQ was on the cover of GQ magazine. I think it was in July or August, and it was like a style issue, and he was talking about it. The article was talking about his past, how he was like a laborer and he worked in this factory, and he just said, F this, I'm moving to New York to try to, pursue my dream. And he was back and forth from London to New York for a few years and just scrambling while he was in New York, like living on couches, like having no money. And it was one of those rags to riches stories, but he always had a confidence in this self-confidence and this aura about him. And, he might be the next James Bond.
Hey, man.
There's been a black president. Why can't there be a black James Bond?
I mean, he's already got the accent, so he's halfway there.
Exactly. He is halfway there. And he's not a midget.
No.
Like Daniel Craig, I don't know how tall he is, but he doesn't look that tall. Pierce Brosnan, I feel like, was like 6'2". Roger Moore, I have no idea. Sean Connery was a tall man. I mean, I think in the pantheon of James Bond dudes, I think most people, Sean Connery won. I don't even know where George Lazenby goes.
He was one and done, but
he was a one and done. I guess it goes Roger Moore, then Daniel Craig, or Daniel Craig, then Roger Moore.
I think a lot of people would put Roger Moore number 2 or even 1. I'm sorry, not Roger Moore. Daniel Craig 2 or even 1A.
Well, I think
Sean
2.
Connery will always have that.
Yeah, Sean Connery was an icon
Yeah.
in that James Bond legacy. So those are the 5. Are there more?
Oh yes.
Okay.
There's one called All Is Lost, and I haven't seen it yet. It's with Robert Redford, and he plays this guy who's on a sailboat, wakes up one morning, a tanker, like one of those storage tanker containers that go on tankers that get shipped across the ocean, must have fallen off a boat and crashes into his sailboat, gives it a big hole. So he's trying to repair it. Big storm comes, and he's stranded. His ship is going to sink, so he has to go overboard in the lifeboat, and it's pretty much about his will to survive this ordeal. And there's like very minimal dialogue. It's mostly just him on the water, and that's it. And it's supposed to be amazing.
So it's his version of Life of Pi.
Pretty much. No tiger.
Meets Wilson, not Wilson.
Castaway.
Castaway. Tom Hanks. I said Wilson. I think you guys knew what I meant though.
It came out supposedly early or mid-October. I was looking for it in the theaters in Toronto for like 2 weeks, couldn't find it. Finally, it got released. It's playing at the Varsity, so if anybody wants to check it out, that's the place to go see it. I will probably see it this week.
All Is Lost.
All Is Lost, yeah.
All right.
Okay, number 7. There's this movie by a man named Spike Jonze.
Yes.
Called Her.
Oh, yes. With Joaquin Phoenix, right?
Yeah, Joaquin
Is this his return to cinema?
No, he did The Master last year. And
That's right.
I think he got a nomination for that as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He was great in that. He plays this kind of awkward, introverted guy who's suffering from heartache, and then he gets this personal computer that's like an artificial intelligence that he falls in love with, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. So, I mean, how could you fault him there, right?
You can't really fault him. I mean, does the thing, so it's like, is it like a full 3D character, or is it like he's looking at an iPad?
It's like I'm looking at my iPhone and she's talking in my ear, and he just has this relationship with her, and then he ends up, I guess, becoming infatuated with this artificial intelligence.
Because when he comes home, it speaks to him, right? It's like in his home, right?
Yeah, it's like it's everywhere. I think he has a little earpiece that goes with him everywhere he is. So the voice, her, is always traveling with him, and it got really good reviews from the New York Film Festival. So, and Spike Jonze is always interesting to watch, like Being John Malkovich, Where the Wild Things Are.
Adaptation?
Yeah, Rooney Mara in The Dragon Tattoo, and then her sister who's in House of Cards, Kate Mara. So yeah, Spike Jonze did direct Adaptation in 2002.
That was an unbelievable movie, and Nicolas Cage, I know there are not a lot of Nick Cage fans out there, but that guy deserved an Oscar for that performance. He was amazing. I know Chris Cooper won, and Meryl Streep was awesome. Critically underappreciated film adaptation. So who else is in Her?
Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara?
The girl with the dragon tattoo, and Amy Adams.
Can we just take a pause? Sure. Amy Adams should have died in. Oh, I don't know if I should have.
In which movie?
I guess it's kind of a spoil. Some people probably haven't seen Man of Steel.
Oh, Man of Steel. You should watch the Honest trailer for that one. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I love those. We're like the third, like 60 or 70 mistakes. They point out the mistakes in the movies.
The one thing that cracked me up was when he said General Zod is going to take over Earth because he has the power of dubstep, and then that machine that's going to change Earth into Krypton, but it plays dubstep music while he's showing it. I was howling.
Those are great. They're just such like jerk off, like a jerk off thing to do. Some guys obviously got like a week at a time to just waste on pointing out other people's mistakes, but they're really funny.
And very unapologetic, but
that's true.
You can't help but laugh.
So that's the cast of Her.
Yes.
What other nuggets did you find?
All right, this one I've seen. It's been out since September, and it did well at TIFF as well. Movie Prisoners, which was directed by Canadian Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve of Incendie?
Incendie, yes. And yet another movie in TIFF called The The Copycat or The Mimic or something like that.
This year?
This year with Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays like not twins, but
Wait a second. Like
I think it was called The Doppelganger, actually. Yeah.
So wait, this dude. So Denis Villeneuve had 2 films in TIFF.
Yes.
I feel like that's almost unprecedented. I feel like that's unprecedented. I don't know for sure, but 2 films in one film festival is like that's it's unbelievable. And the same actor was
for
in
a
both
director. Yeah, I'd say that's tough. For an actor, I've seen it where there's been multiple movies with the same actor, but yeah, for a director, that's usually a project takes you about 3 years.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
So Prisoners, tell me about Prisoners. I haven't seen this one either, but RT
really?
says it's pretty legit.
It's fantastic. Like it's not a high concept film. It's about 2 families who are neighbors, and their daughters disappear one day when they are one family's over at the other family's house for Thanksgiving. They suspect this one weirdo guy, Paul Dano, once again amazingly creepy, and
that's who Paul Dano is now.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see his face now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they don't have enough to hold him. So they let him go, and Hugh Jackman's character freaks out and kidnaps him and tries to force him to tell him where the girls are. And
It's like over 2 hours, isn't it?
yeah, it's
like-
intense, but it's great.
So you think like the film itself will be recognized as a film, like as Oscar contender, or because of the performances in the movie?
I think the film itself was great. It's definitely a really tight thriller because it keeps you guessing throughout the film. You think it's this guy, and you think that guy did
it's
it,
one of
and
those,
then
like,
it's like,
whodunits.
yeah, and you're constantly guessing throughout the film, which is great. I love movies like that are really complicated and keep you trying to figure out what's going on. But Jackman's performance is great, and Melissa Leo is really good in that as well, and Paul Dano is super creepy.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's not really famous for. He's not like a big movie superstar, but you keep seeing him in stuff, and he's
a character
always
actor.
good. He's always good.
Wasn't he in There Will Be Blood as the guy who gets his milkshake drank?
Yes.
I see your milkshake, and I drink it up. Awful impression of Daniel Day-Lewis. DDL. I have your milkshake. Anyway, he's the guy who has the religious transformation or something like that.
Well, he
right?
played. There was 2 brothers, 2 twins.
Oh,
So he played both of those guys, obviously. But
Paul Dano.
yes,
Prisoners.
Prisoners definitely worth watching. I think it might still be in theaters, but I'm sure it'll be out on Blu-ray probably before the end of the year.
Or before the Oscar season.
For sure. But yeah, that's definitely worth a watch.
That's worth your $13.
Absolutely.
And potential Oscar, and we should have some Oscar buzz.
Yep. Well, we'll get into that later, but
Okay.
for sure.
What else have we got?
The Dallas Buyers Club. That's another TIFF movie with Matthew McConaughey. He plays a real-life dude who contracts AIDS, and he is unable to get the medication that he needs from his American doctors. So he travels down to Mexico. He finds the drugs that he needs, and they're actually quite cheap and more readily available. So he brings a whole bunch back up to the States, and then he starts this subscription club where people who also are suffering from HIV and AIDS can get this medication. And Jared Leto plays this transvestite who partners up with him to distribute these medications that they're unable to get in the States. And I think this is also based on a true story. And
Wait, the transvestite part is a true story
no,
also?
the whole film.
Oh, the whole film, okay.
Yeah. And McConaughey looks great. I mean, he looked not
physically,
not like he's
his
not
performance.
his. No, his performance looks great. Like it looks like he pulled a Christian Bale in The Machinist, lost like 30 pounds or something.
Yeah, he's gaunt.
Oh, yeah.
From what I've seen in photos and stuff like that.
As is Jared Leto, unrecognizable in the trailer.
Really?
Oh yeah, he plays the transvestite.
Yeah, he plays the transvestite.
But when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, that's what?
Wow, who is that dude?
Yeah, but he'll probably both of those guys will probably get Oscar buzz for this one, I would think.
And that was called the Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, it's out right now. It's supposed to come out in December, but it got moved up.
All right. So we have a pretty good list so far. So just a quick recap. American Hustle, Out of the Furnace, Philomena, 12 Years a Slave, All Is Lost, Her, Prisoners, and Dallas Buyers Club. Did I miss one?
Yeah, Mandela.
And Mandela.
We only touched on that briefly, but...
And Mandela.
This movie won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and it's called Blue is the Warmest Color.
Wait. Blue is the warmest color. If I remember correctly, are there lesbians in this one?
Yes.
And isn't there like a really graphic love scene in this one?
Well, I was reading up on it. I haven't seen it yet. It's 3 hours, so it's going to take some patience to sit through this one, but it's supposed to be really good. But yeah, apparently they used prosthetic vaginas for the really graphic scenes.
Oh my! This might be too graphic for Cabbie Presents. However, we're just giving it to you uncut.
Yep.
And real and raw and really raw. Shout out to Old Dirty Bastard who likes it raw, because I'm only thinking about that because it's the 20-year anniversary of Enter the 36 Chambers, one of the greatest hip hop albums ever recorded. That relates nothing to Blue is the Warmest Color, the film that won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival.
And they actually gave it to the actors, not the director.
What?
Yeah. So the two actresses, I'll try and pronounce her name. It's Adele Exarchopoulos.
Okay.
And the director, apparently in France, you have a lot more leeway with how you can direct your actors and actresses. So they signed the contract. They pretty much, at his whim, he can tell them to do whatever he wants. That's what I was told. I don't know if that's actual fact, but apparently they said they would never work with him again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, even though it's gotten such critical acclaim and such recognition, the two young women who are in this film.
What did he make them do?
Well, they shot over 800 hours of footage.
That's ridiculous. It's a 3-hour film. Yeah. When we were at school, we were taught that it's a 10-to-1 ratio. So you shoot 10 times for every 10 minutes that you shoot, you'll use one of those minutes, and whether it's edited down or like 1 good minute of it. So it works in television and film. That's ridiculous.
Well, what he was doing was he was following Adele around a lot and just shooting her while she was doing stuff, just like we're doing right now, just sitting, talking, or eating, or sleeping, or whatever. He'd shoot just normal, mundane stuff. And a lot of that was used in the film. And even the character's name wasn't supposed to be Adele, but because the other lead actress, they were in these just normal, candid moments, and they ended up shooting them. But she kept calling her Adele, so they had to just change the character's name to Adele.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Blue is the warmest color.
Yeah.
So is this one of the films that you believe will have Oscar buzz, whether it's for Best Foreign Film or whether it's for Best Film?
I think definitely Best Foreign Film will, there's always one that leads the charge every year.
Yeah.
And I think this will definitely be up there. And then also the lead actress, Adele Exarchopoulos. I think she'll get a lot of notice for this. Maybe not a nomination, but potentially one. She might have an outside shot and definitely a lot of notice from Hollywood, I think.
So just a quick recap. I'm in here with Ari Pollack, who's my film guru. I've asked him to come in to give a fall/Christmas/Oscar movie preview. So these are some of the movies that he has seen, and if he hasn't seen them yet, he plans to see them. And these are the movies that he believes are worth your $13. So the Hollywood movies: The Hobbit, The Wolf of Wall Street, 47 Ronin, Jack Ryan, Old Boy. I'm on board with all 5 of those. Check that. I'm on board with 4 of the 5 because I'm not going to see The Hobbit. Then we move into the more independent flicks, and some of these are little nuggets that he pulled out. American Hustle, Out of the Furnace, Philomena, 12 Years a Slave, All Is Lost, Her, Prisoners, not Her Prisoners, but Her, Prisoners, Dallas Buyers Club, Mandela, and finally, Blue is the Warmest Color.
Yes, sir.
It's a pretty good list.
It's a good list. I mean, I had my fall movie list this year was ridiculous. It was over 60 films
that you're trying to see in like 4 months: September, October, November, December.
Great. I mean, I've cut a few out because some got really horrid reviews, and some I was like, I'll wait till that comes out on video. But initially, it was huge, and now I've kind of dropped it down to about
15 movies a month.
I won't be able to watch.
That's 3 movies a week. Yeah. Like 4 movies a week.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Since we're in the Oscar buzz season, what are your front runners as far as best films, actors and actresses, and directors? I know this is early, but Ari's just he's just putting some little seeds in your minds. And if he's right, then you can thank him when you see him, because you heard it here first on the Cabbie Presents podcast.
All right. So Best Picture, remember now you can nominate up to 10, so I got a few up there, but I think 12 Years a Slave is leading the pack right now. Captain Phillips is up there. Tom Hanks was in that, and Paul Greengrass directed that one. And that just reminded me how good of an actor Tom Hanks is.
Who's Captain Phillips?
Captain Phillips. And I love Paul Greengrass's work, the Bourne Identity movies and United 93. He just has a really good way of showing these moments without too much bias in either direction.
And I heard Tom Hanks is getting buzz for he plays Walt Disney.
Yes.
What's that movie called?
Saving Mr. Banks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one comes out in December, so there'll be, maybe the buzz will be too much it'll cancel each other out. Who knows? I believe that's happened before in the past. I just can't remember. So those are two front runners?
Yeah. I think Gravity has to be up there just because it was such a cinematic feat for Alfonso Cuarón, who made you feel like you were trapped in space. Like, I was literally clutching myself in the movie theater watching that, and I've seen it twice, and the second time around, I was still clutching myself.
Nice.
And I knew what was going to happen.
Nice.
So, and for those who haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend seeing it in IMAX, if you can still see it in IMAX. It's one of those visual spectacles that you can't get the same experience at home. You need to see that on a big screen.
I have a theory about Gravity, but I can't tell it yet because there are people out there that haven't seen it.
Okay.
But I have a theory about it, and it makes the movie more interesting to me.
Okay. You can tell me after.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think Dallas Buyers Club will have an outside chance at a Best Picture, as will American Hustle, and then Wolf of Wall Street. Those in my mind are going to be leading the charge for Best Picture.
I wonder how different it is from the movie Wall Street. Wall Street's like an iconic film with Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen directed, and I believe it was written by Oliver Stone. I think written and directed. But I mean, Scorsese's he's his own man, and he's an icon and a visionary. I just hope it's a lot different.
Based on the trailer, it almost looks more like a music video type vibe because watching the first trailer, it was just like Kanye's what was the song that they played for that trailer? I can't remember, but
was it New Slave? Black Skinhead.
That's the one. Yeah. So that I watched that and I was like, wow, this looks cool. And then the second trailer, you see all kinds of other things, and it's narrated by DiCaprio, but it still has that same kind of up-tempo vibe to it.
Well, Scorsese never wins. Like he always gets Oscar buzz, but he never wins. He never wins.
It's unfortunate, but he's one of the iconic directors of our generation.
Agreed. And one thing about Scorsese films is that the music is an integral part of the tapestry he creates. A lot of his movies, I think of like Casino and
Goodfellas.
There's just so much music and
The Departed.
Yeah, and The Departed, just like 70s classic rock, and so he almost like there are like mini music videos in a way in certain scenes.
Well, since we're talking about Scorsese, we just assume that he's leading the charge for Best Director, but Alfonso Cuarón, who I already mentioned for Gravity, Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave, he has to get a nomination for what he did. Paul Greengrass, outside chance. David O. Russell, I think he's got a good chance. If American Hustle's good, he should get a nod.
And Silver Linings Playbook was last year, yeah?
Yeah.
With Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, Robert De Niro all getting acting nominations, and Jennifer Lawrence winning.
She did win, yes.
For Silver Linings Playbook.
She's fantastic.
She is fantastic. Okay, so what about the actors?
Okay, Chiwetel Ejiofor, it goes without saying, he was amazing. I don't know how he went to work every day and just lived that. So give him an A+ just for that. But he really held the movie together. He was the foundation of that film. And
we're talking about 12 Years a Slave, the lead actor in 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah. And he's always good in everything he does. And so this hopefully will get him some hardware. Hugh Jackman from Prisoners.
Very intense.
Oh.
He's a great actor. He's just, even the clip last year, Les Mis, when I didn't see the movie, but when I saw the clip when they're previewing the Best Actor nominations, and you see him singing, and he's got like a vein through his forehead. I'm like, this is amazing, and he's so intense. I'm like, man, that performance right there, that 12-second clip should earn him an Oscar, but it didn't.
Nope. Tom Hanks.
Captain Phillips?
Captain Phillips.
Or the Walt Disney one?
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips was more relevant to our time, I believe. Walt Disney, I think it'll be characterized. I mean, it'll be more of a caricature. So I don't think the level of intensity that he achieved in Captain. Have you seen it yet?
No.
Ugh.
I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time. Probably like much of the audience.
I was really emotional at the end of that film, and it reminded me of how subtle his performance was.
Okay, but emotional in which way? Like, did you want to cry or were you
Yeah.
angry? You like that kind of emotional?
Yeah. Listen, I watched it with my dad.
Okay.
And I could hear him sniffling next to me, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And that to me, I think that affected me just as much as watching the film, because you're sitting next to your dad and you can hear him kind of, sniffling a little bit because it's really emotional what's happening in the film, and I was like, "Wow!" And then I was just reminded of, it just reminded me of how strong an actor Tom Hanks is, without it being too flashy.
I'm trying to think of a movie that I've had that reaction with my own pops. Or like a movie where a father and a son would have that kind of reaction to. Like, I know Field of Dreams is like the big one. Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?
Yep.
And that's like emotional for men, is that scene. But I don't know if that's the first I'm hearing of.
Well, watch the movie and then you let me know.
I will. I will.
I haven't seen it yet, and I was talking about it earlier, but Robert Redford in All Is Lost. I think if you're the sole person carrying a film with minimal dialogue and you have to find things to do for a 2-hour movie, let's assume it's 2 hours, I think that alone is an acting feat, and I think it'll reaffirm Robert Redford as a strong actor as well, because he hasn't really done much in the last little while. He's directed a bunch of good stuff, but as an actor, he hasn't really done anything that's asserted his ability in the last little while.
Was that young actor in The Life of Pi, was he nominated for an Oscar?
I don't think he was, no. Cate Blanchett, she may have been forgotten. For
Greatest actress alive, not named Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep's almost too good now. She gets taken for granted how good she is.
Yes, that's true.
But Cate Blanchett in this movie called Blue Jasmine, which is Woody Allen's version of A Streetcar Named Desire, basically. And it came out in the summertime, so I think a lot of people might not have seen it, or it might have even been forgotten, but I think there should be a push for her performance. And Woody Allen has a good history of his lead actresses winning awards. You can think Mira Sorvino, Diane Wiest. Can't think of anyone recently, but he usually has a knack for giving great material to his actresses. And this, I think, will be a good chance for her to get another nomination. I mean, I don't know how many she has. Probably at least 3 right
Meryl
now.
Streep?
No, Cate Blanchett.
Oh, Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Nominations, yeah. I ran into a dude that I know who was forced to go see that movie. As I was leaving, I think I saw The Butler, or I saw something else, and I was like, dude, what movie are you going to go see? And he's like, oh, man, Blue Jasmine. I'm like, which one's that one? He goes, it's a Woody Allen movie. I'm like, oh, that sucks for you, dude. Sucks for you.
Well, I think she plays an alcoholic woman trying to escape her husband or something like that, and then she ends up going to live with her sister. But she's getting a lot of raves for this performance.
Who else we got?
Judi Dench.
Dame Judi Dench.
My apologies. Dame Judi Dench for Philomena. I'm going to throw up Adele Exarchopoulos.
Okay.
I'm probably butchering her name.
Blue is the warmest color.
Blue is the warmest color. And Sandra Bullock for Gravity. I don't think she'll win, but I think she did a great job of portraying that role, which could have easily slid into something that was kind of campy. Not campy, but not taken seriously. And she did a good job of kind of anchoring that film. Even though it was like a big sci-fi tentpole, she humanized the film. If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. And I think those are all worthy candidates. But with that said, I haven't seen any of that stuff. So I'm really just speaking
out of
work
to do.
Yeah, I'm speaking out of my butthole. But I brought you in, Ari, because you're the expert, and
Well,
I'm the
thank you.
gas bag. I'm the rhino, and you're the one with the intelligence. So I lean on you for your film knowledge and your recommendations, and hopefully you guys will at home as well. One last thing. So Sandra Bullock floats around in space.
Yes, sir.
For a long time in Gravity. Actually, the movie's only 90 minutes, so it's not a long time where you're sitting and watching, but it's a long time for her character in space. And being as though you're a comic book guy and you like the sci-fi genre and you like the fantasy genre, my question to you is this, and I just asked Nigel this the other day when he was on the podcast. Nigel's also the other comic book guy. Why don't comic book characters in the movies, why don't they stay dead? And this is my to further this question, I saw Star Trek 2 this year. Captain Kirk dies in Star Trek 2. Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it by now, then the statute of limitations has already run out.
But then he comes back in the movie. He's not dead. Okay? Here's another one. Nigel and I spoke about X-Men Days of Past, which is coming out next year. And according to the trailers, Professor X is still alive. But in our last podcast, Ari, we brought up that he died.
He did die in X3.
Or was it the Phoenix?
It was the Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, kills Professor X. So why is he in the trailer for the new X-Men movie?
Well, you know how Marvel, and shout out to Marvel Studios because they are killing it right now.
Yes, they're printing money. They're printing their own money.
Amazing. Can't wait for them to get Spider-Man rights back. But at the end of X3, there's that body, which was supposedly Professor X's twin brother who was brain dead.
Wait, Professor X is a twin brother now?
Well, in the comic books, he actually has a twin sister.
But they made it a twin. How do we even know he's got a twin? So which one? One of the twins is alive in the new X-Men movie?
Yeah, so basically his consciousness went into that body at the end of the movie. You can see the brainwave scanner going off.
That's ridiculous.
And I thought the plot of that whole X3 movie was brutal. They killed too many people. They went a little crazy with that one.
And I'm watching The Shield. Nigel and I are both watching The Shield. And Agent Coulson is alive, but I remember he caught Loki's friggin' staff right in the chest.
That's part of that's actually part of the plot. His resurrection, they haven't touched upon it too much yet.
In The Shield, the TV show.
In the TV show, in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they keep hinting at it. They keep dropping little hints about what happened to him. He thinks he was just revived and spent a couple weeks in Tahiti, but there's definitely way more to it than that. And Joss Whedon's already alluded to it in interviews and stuff. He said it's a point of contention. We're not going to reveal it yet, but there is something specific that they're going to use from that. So getting back to your question.
I just don't know. And I don't know why Gwyneth Paltrow didn't die in Iron Man 3. She blew up in the house. They shot rockets at the house. Like, you're dead. You're vaporized.
She got the armor thrown on her.
Come on, man. Great movie. And like a lot of fun.
Yes.
She should have died. Are you going to try to... You can't defend that. Are you going to try to defend any of those?
It's hard to defend those when you're looking at them through... the prism of reality, because in reality, we don't have a dude who can create a suit of armor that can fly and shoot missiles. Okay, so you have to suspend your disbelief. And that's the whole thing about the comic book genre, is a lot of it is surreal. So it takes place in reality, or in an imagined reality, but there's certain things that you have to accept, like people being born with claws and healing factors. That's just one of the things that you are like, all right, cool. That's the way it's going to go. And you just accept that as reality for that film.
I'm going to accept this as a reality. You are a great friend, and you are my go-to film guy. Whenever I have questions, I'm like, let me text Ari. I'll go to my own IMDb. And I hope that you guys learned a bunch about the upcoming movies. And as you will undoubtedly enter your Oscar pools in late February, know that the ideas got planted in your head by my guest, Ari Pollack, who could be found on Twitter at FellasXTheTruth.
Yes, sir.
And do you have a lot of stuff on Instagram?
I've got a few things.
What's your handle on Instagram?
The Truth 1877.
Okay, so it's like you're one of these Ronin guys. The Truth 18 on Twitter. Fellas X The Truth. Ari Pollack, thank you for stopping by, and thank you for the fall/Christmas/Oscar movie preview.
Pleasure as always. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for listening to Cabbie Presents, the podcast.